unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. I don't know why constructive criticism is so rare. And I don't know why it's so unpopular and met with such resistance usually. You know? Haters, not cool. You know, if you're just hating something just to hate it, that's not helpful, you know? But I operate on the golden rule, you know, and what I enjoy most in life, and I'm probably saying this is, well, pretty much in any facet, like, but especially with art, you know, when you're making art and you share it with somebody, my best hope is that I'm going to get constructive criticism, you know? Like, it's nice when somebody likes something, oh, this is really great, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to hear it, really. I mean, I guess kind of you like it when people like what you do. There's no arguing with that. But what's more helpful is real, honest, constructive criticism, you know? And I think there's a number of reasons why. Because for me, I guess maybe it's just because I'm a critic. I'm very critical about pretty much everything. I've got opinions. What do you know? And it's not like I'm trying to be. I'm not setting out, well, I must be critical because if I'm not critical, people won't love me or something. Obviously, that's not true. If you're critical, people are generally repelled by you. They don't like you much. Most people don't want to be criticized, it seems to me. In my experience, most people don't really want criticism. They might ask for some criticism, and sometimes people appreciate it. You know, if somebody sends me a piece of art or writing or their thoughts on something and they ask me what I think, Lord knows I'm going to tell them exactly what I think, you know? Even if it sucks, even if I don't like their thing, I'll try to make it nice, and I'll try to go, well, I don't believe you, or I try to be helpful, like, this is what I would do, this is what you might want to do. I might ask some leading questions. What's your intent here? Maybe I missed your intent, you know? Are you here to annoy me? Are you here to make me enjoy something? Are you here to make me feel something? Are you here to change my mind? You know, because I need to know what you want in order to tell you if you accomplished it, you know? But I think the reason why I crave constructive criticism, and I very rarely get it, I know it's my own fault because I almost never share my art anymore, because mostly I don't care about most people's opinions. Here's what I'm getting at. With constructive criticism, to me, it lets me know that somebody heard. Maybe it even makes me think, okay, I'm not alone on this planet. I'm with somebody else. Like, best case scenario is somebody, because I'm such a harsh critic of my own stuff, when people don't mention the things that I don't like about a certain thing that I've done, I just think, how do you like this when this part of this thing that I've done is such shit and you didn't even mention it? How am I supposed to respect you if you don't notice how terrible this thing is? You know, it's like, it's weird, but yeah, I have a hard time respecting people anyway, but it's hard to respect when somebody doesn't notice what sucks about something. And that's not all the time true, but I remember back in the days when I was sharing art daily, I knew or I had my own opinions about what I thought was a really good piece, what I thought was okay, what I thought was shit, but I just wanted to release it anyway. And too often, and this is one of the reasons why I don't share with the public anymore, is that what I think about my art more often than not does not match with the way the public thinks about it. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I would make something that I would feel really good about and think I really like this, and this is just a good thing. I've done a good thing. And sometimes the public would agree. They think this is one of your best things, you know? And so that's kind of fun, when you're patting yourself on your back and everybody else comes along and pat your back too. But that's kind of rare. More often than not, the things that I put out that I didn't like would be the things that people would like more than the things that I did like. And so there's a feeling of disappointment that comes along with that. You know, I guess there's another thing too, is that kind of along the lines of what I was grumbling about yesterday on that recording, is that one of the things that's really bad about any kind of notoriety for art, or maybe anything, but with art, you're expressing ideas, right? And so people maybe think they're getting to know you or they know something about you, and to a certain extent they do, but it's such a small sliver of life. Whatever you put in your art, you can't put everything into your art. But so there's this annoying thing about fans. I never wanted to ever call anybody a fan. It's no fun to call people followers, but calling them friends, contacts is probably the best thing you can call somebody. But I've always just been annoyed by fans. It's one of the reasons why I don't like going to shows too, and why I don't like looking at comment sections on songs. I brought this up because I just watched a video by a band, The Darkness. Have you heard about The Darkness? Anyway, Justin Hawkins rides again. He does this little thing. He's a critic too, and he's charming. He's fun to watch. He's kind of like Russell Brand meets some other kind of guy. Just a real charming fella. And he highlights mostly music he likes. And then the stuff he doesn't like, he tries to pretend like he likes it when he doesn't. Like, I think he's a little too concerned with people liking him that he doesn't want to be honest about not liking things. This is another thing that I don't like about the world, is that people think that if they give an honest criticism, that it will hurt somebody's feelings or they won't like them anymore. It's just like, that to me is super selfish. Years ago, I would say, as a young kid, I was kind of a liar. I don't know why, but I lied a lot as a kid, and even up into my teens. Not big lies. I would just embellish things and make up things that didn't happen, and I'd pretend they had. Not big, huge lies, but just basically embellishment, creative, imaginary, making making shit up, to thinking that it would make me seem more interesting. But then somewhere in my early 80s, or my early 20s, my early 80s, somewhere in maybe my mid 20s, I realized that the truth is just more interesting. If you tell the truth really hard and directly, it's more interesting, because whatever story you're making up to embellish and make yourself seem cool, it's not going to resonate, and it's not that cool. Even if you're pretty good at doing it, it's not as good as just revealing the truth about shit, But, so yeah, the truth about things, reality, I'm on this thing where I don't like talking about God, using the word God, because is such a narrow definition. It comes with so much baggage of this religion or that religion, and some people think of a guy with a beard in the sky. Some people think of Jesus, his face, ghostly, whatever. There's just too many definitions. But for me, it's just reality and existence are the most miraculous thing anyway. It doesn't need to be improved upon. Reality, existence, just the unfathomable miracle of existing and living in the world is already so overwhelming and incomprehensible, and you'll never get to the bottom of it, of why it exists or how it exists. There's so much digging you can do that I don't understand why you need to narrow things down and put it into a small little box of God. He's, 25 arms, whatever it is. But for me, it's just reality. And to me, the most holy thing you can possibly do is acknowledge reality for what it actually is. Anytime you modify it or pretend it's something that it's not, I think that to me is what sin is. That's a lie. That's when you're lying. You're lying if you do that. And I know why people do it. They want to make people feel good. Oh, you weigh 600 pounds, but you look beautiful, Tina. You don't need to lose 1 pound. Bullshit. You're a fucking big fat slob, and it's bumming everybody out. Because when we see you and we hear you wheezing, we think about death. And we think about gluttony. And we think about not giving a shit about the miracle, the body you've been given. You're ruining it. You're ruining it. And you stink. Now fucking pick yourself up and stop it. Stop chomping on those chips, you fat fuck. Because it's bringing us all down. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the reality. That doesn't mean there's not a beautiful soul underneath all that fat. There's not absolute potential. It doesn't mean any of that, but it's the reality. It's ugly. It's not good. It's not beautiful. It doesn't honor the truth. It doesn't honor the unfathomable chance that we get to be alive for a short spell and think. And anytime somebody just fudges reality, I'm a man. No, you're not. You're a woman. I'm trapped in the wrong body. No, you're not. You've been given a body, a wonderful body. And whatever feelings you're having isn't about being trapped. You can't get out of it. You're not going to get out of your body. You're not going to switch. You're still going to be you. Anyway. But, and to me, constructive criticism is just a part of that. It's like telling the truth, acknowledging reality, describing reality as it is, not how you wish it was, not how you want it to be, not how somebody else is pressuring you to make you think it is, and that's the evil that we're seeing in the world to me, is all these people trying to get you to just not acknowledge reality. You can't acknowledge the crime in black neighborhoods. You can't acknowledge the statistics of, you can't acknowledge that people are coming after white people, that there's absolute hatred towards white people. You can't acknowledge it. You have to live the lie. 2 + 2 = 5. Because that's what we say. Seems like I'm getting off track, but really it is constructive criticism to me is evidence that somebody gives a fuck about reality. Somebody's interested in reality, that they acknowledge that reality itself is amazing. Hey, Merkley, your song is okay, but this passage here, this lyric here, I don't think it's that great. I'm not buying it. Or the way you're a little flat right there. You sound like you're whispering. Maybe let loose and let go a little bit more, when you're singing. I don't believe your performance. This painting here you did here, I don't know. What's this all about? You trying to be cool? What are you trying to say here? What is this supposed to do for me? Or is this about you? I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of, I do that when I'm on YouTube. If I hear a good, I guess maybe the reason why I'm such a fucking asshole is because I don't always leave comments when I like something really a lot. I don't often go, wow, this is a perfect, I do a lot, but maybe not always. I guess the only times I really leave comments are when I don't like something, most of the time. And then when I really love something, this is fantastic, amazing, great job, glad you exist in the world. That's kind of when and then I shut up most of the time when things are just okay or pretty good, So if I'm chiming in, unfortunately, I'm that guy that's usually chiming in when you're wrong or you've said something stupid, Less likely to chime in when I totally agree with you, unless it's some rare thing, like an obscure opinion that you share. Then I'll be like, man, finally somebody else that thinks this obscure way. There's really subtle differences, nuanced way, Otherwise, I'm shutting up. But like I said, here's a couple of things tonight that made me want to make this recording. That Song by the Darkness, I just listened to it and I thought, okay, well, this is an okay song. The melody's pretty good in the chorus, but the band is not joining you in the chorus at all. The melody's changing in the chorus. There's no way, the music doesn't change from the verse to the chorus at all, only the melody. It's like the band isn't even listening to the lyrics, The energy picks up in the lyrical content, the energy picks up. The melody shoots way up, it climbs, but the band ain't doing shit. They're just keeping a steady beat. It's like stupid. It doesn't match, And so I left a comment thusly. And I made the mistake of reading all the other comments. And all the other comments, and this is what made me make this little recording, because it does make me feel isolated. When I read all the other comments, it's just like a bunch of ass kissery. This is the best. I've been listening to the song all day, blah, blah, blah. It's just one thing after another of just brown-nosery, suck-uppery, people just saying, I'm like, there's no way you all think that this is the best song ever. There's no way. Because if it was, first of all, it would be shared a lot more. It wouldn't have only this many views. So somebody here, you people here aren't being real. And it's annoying me because it's not necessary. Quit encouraging this, And then, right before that, I watched this Architectural Digest tour of Lenny Kravitz's Paris home. And it's beautiful, He's got, air quotes, great taste, almost too great for me. Every single piece in the house is perfectly placed, and there's a real antiseptic quality about it. It's beautiful. He picked cool colors, and it looks like an expensive hotel. Let's just put it that way. Doesn't look like a place where a human being lives. And the things that he made, the furniture pieces he designed, I go, okay, these are kind of cool, but they're highlighted in such a way. Every single thing is a piece of art and displayed so carefully that it just seems, even though he's walking around with his bare feet and his chest showing, I don't know how the guy keeps in such good shape. My age or older, and he looks like he's got the same body as a 24-year-old. It's pretty impressive, but also to me a little weird, because I'm thinking when I'm watching, I'm going, okay, he's got an expensive Parisian mansion, and looks like it's made for a photo shoot. Doesn't look like it's made for a person living there. And even the stories that he told about objects that he had made, just a little pretentious. And the whole thing, I'm just like, every story, it's like this African-American stuff, my heritage. It's like, imagine coming to a white person's house and having them explain, well, it's because I'm white and this is whiteness and everything here is because of my Norwegian relatives and my Norwegian culture. It's like, maybe there are some people like that, but I don't know. It's just, anyway, his personality to me, I watched that video and I'm like, okay, you got a pretty cool house, but my God, what an insufferable personality. Of course, people probably say that about me, and they wouldn't be wrong. But that's my comment that I made. I'm a terrible person, I guess. But again, in the comments, it's just filled with people sucking his dick. Oh, so great. You got the best. Everything about you is so chill. I'm like, really? Is it really chill to have the most impeccable house with not a speck of dust, and suddenly you're chill because you're walking around in old jeans and you're barefoot? Is that chill? I'm getting vibes from Lenny that he would make me take my shoes off before going in his house. And guess what? Fuck you. I'm not taking my shoes off to go in your stupid house because my shoes are meant to protect my feet from the jizz on your floor. All right, Lenny? Oh, but then there's a scene where you got to look it up. But he goes, we got to go to the basement, the heart and soul of my house. And suddenly there's a disco in his basement. And they make this montage of him just dancing. It's like he invited all the hipsters from town, from Paris, to fill it up like a daytime. And it was just like this big dance scene they did for this Architectural Digest thing. It's like, that's not how Architectural Digest usually does things. But they had this whole montage of him dancing around. He's my age. He looks a lot younger for sure. But what's the guy my like? I see people my age and I see them trying to be hanging out with 20-year-olds and shit. And I just think, really? Why? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you maturing? It's the same way I felt watching Prince at his last tour, I was watching this guy. It was a single guy on a piano tour. But actually, every time I ever saw Prince, I got depressed. And I like Prince. He was one of my favorite artists. But watching him perform just bums me out, I watched him performing with, what's it, Third Eye Girl or something? And I was just like, and he was on this religious kick. And I was just like, he changed all the lyrics to his songs. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's evidence of growing up. But then by the time he was doing the one man on the piano, he comes out on this lowrider bike. And I'm like going, he was 57 at the time, my age now. And he had a blown out hairdo and he was still dressing sexy. And, hearing him play, when you hear a song on the piano and it's just a guy singing, suddenly the lyrics really come out front and forward. You can't be distracted by the synthesizer or the drum machine. And you're really just hearing the lyrics, and hearing those lyrics, they were basically peacocking lyrics, sex lyrics from when you're young and you're trying to get, you're trying to breed, you're trying to get girls to like you. It's just like, but watching a 57-year-old dude singing about Darling Nikki, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear a 57-year-old dude talking about his trying to get. I don't know. It's just weird, It's like nature designs your body to decrease your libido over time because there's a good reason for it. Because the chances that, if you have a kid, women stop being fertile around 40, 45 with new technology or whatever. But it's because nature says, no, your eggs are bad now. Your jizz is not so great anymore. I guess guys can breed for a lot longer, but who wants to think about that? Do you want to think about Robert De Niro having a 25-year-old girlfriend, or all these guys? My thing is like, why do you want that? I get it. Youth is beautiful when you're naked, but the conversation, the life experience, do you really want to have to explain the Brady Bunch? Wouldn't you rather be around somebody that has been where you've been? To me, it just seems like desperation, And again, it just seems like people that are avoiding reality, Had I been friends with Prince at the time, I would have said, Prince, what's going on? You're a 57-year-old man, and I'm reading these lyrics here, and I don't see any evidence of a maturing mind. Where are the things that you've learned? Why aren't you transitioning into an elder that can help young people, or that can forget about young people? Like, why are you even trying to serve young people? Why are you trying to find a new audience? That's the part that really confuses me. People go, oh, Bowie, he's reinventing himself, keeps himself relevant or whatever. I'm like, relevant to what? A young demographic? Why do you want to be relevant to a young demographic? What are you chasing there? Why are you trying to influence kids? First of all, it's an uphill battle. They mostly don't want to look at old people. There's a few of them out there. What's that? What's that name of that movie? That young kid and the old lady. There's things like that, but young people aren't really wanting to hear their rock and roll from a bunch of old people. So if you do have your career, Rolling Stones and guys, you're playing to fellow oldies, to fellow old people. And yeah, you can play the songs the way they were because people want to have their memories. But even then, I just kind of wonder, I see most of the older people in the world do get older. They just get older and they have their journey through life. But then there's this group, and it's mostly artists that seem to want to cling to youth. And again, to me, it's not real. You're not acknowledging reality, right? You're not honoring it. It's a lie. Anyway, I've gotten way off track, and I'm just fucking rambling like a madman here. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to reason with that kind of stuff because I don't know why honesty and acknowledging reality brings so many people down I don't think it should. You know, Prince, it doesn't bum me out if you were to sing about getting older. You know? It wouldn't bum me out at all. It doesn't bum me out. You don't need to stretch your face. You don't need to pull your skin tight. That makes me sad. That makes me sad. Watching people get plastic surgery and stretch their skin tight and chase youth and chase trendy fashion when they're old. That to me tells a sad story, you know? You know what doesn't tell a sad story? Old people sitting around with their family and their grandkids, sitting on a porch with some old friends, you know? You know, shining up a car that they couldn't afford when they were a kid, but now they can. So they've got the car that they always dream to have, you know. Most old people are great, you know. They really are. The ones that allow themselves to grow old, you know, to get old, to get smarter, to get wiser, to have wisdom. Anyway, I'm off track now. I'm trying to pull it back into the realm of honest criticism, constructive criticism, you know. Is it even possible? For me, it is. I like constructive criticism. I've never been upset when somebody corrected my grammar, even though I think the grammar is kind of stupid to begin with, and it's a secret signal that you're in the uppity academic club. I almost prefer people that have bad grammar because that's an indication they never cared about bullshit like that. But at the same time, if somebody corrects my grammar, I say thank you. I appreciate that. Or if any time anybody corrects me on a data point that I've got wrong, or if I explain something one way and it's actually a different way. No, you got your batteries in backwards there, Merkley. Oh, thanks. I would have turned them around eventually, but thank you for pointing it out. You know, you didn't put this in. You see this yellow wire? It goes here. Do that. Great. Thank you for your help. I appreciate that. You know? When you're singing, maybe don't pinch off here. You know, let yourself go a little bit more. Here's how you practice. Here's how you could practice. You're a little flat. You know, and you probably don't like being flat, but here's how you stop being flat. You know, this is why you're going flat. I like that. You know, Merkley, your piano playing is okay, but you've only got one speed, you know? You're really only playing this one thing. It's just one rhythm. Maybe take a break and play piano and try to get some more things in it, you know? And I'm not saying that I'll always abide by the thing. Sometimes I'll put up a fuss and go, well, fuck you. You don't know what I'm trying to do, you know? But ultimately, I appreciate it because I appreciate those who live in reality and enjoy reality. And that's enough of my yapping. Thanks for listening.